Hi, and welcome back to ETA 56 Days. We are on 49 days to go. Today, I want to talk to you about intention, setting an intention. So, one of my favorite teachers says, where intention goes, energy flows. And they have a big thing about segment intending. That's Abraham Hicks, segment intending. Also, Tony Robbins talks about something called the REA, the Reticular Activating System, which is part of your brain. It's something of how we process the information that comes to us, meaning there's just such an overwhelming amount of information. Like driving down the road, how many signs are you driving past, especially if you live in a big city and there's just, even just driving past a shopping center, you have all these different signs of stores and names, and you pick up on it, but you don't really consciously acknowledge them. Otherwise, all this information coming at you would just drive you crazy. So the REA, the reticular activating system, actually helps you to sort through all this massive information and tells you, oh, this is relevant, this is not relevant. I'm sure you've noticed, once you buy a new car or buy a new outfit or whatever matters to you at the moment, all of a sudden you see it everywhere. You're much more aware of it. That would be the REA. So, how do we use that to our benefit? Tony Robbins likes to say, what's my outcome? What am I shooting for? What am I going for? And then, like I mentioned, Abraham Hicks talks about segment intending. So before every new segment in your day, you set an intention. For example, my morning. How do I want my morning to go? My drive to work. What is my intention for my drive to work? Every time I get in the car, I just say the words safely and swiftly. And I make sure that I say them in that order because it is very important to me. I'm always like, all right, angels, get me there safely and swiftly. But first and foremost, safely. Before I start with a client, before I go in with a client, I intend, what do I want this session to be about? I really want this session to be in the highest intent of my client, of the highest benefit to my client. Before you eat your food, what is the intention that you set about the food that you're eating? I want this food to nurture my body. I want this food to help heal my body. I want this food or this drink to hydrate me. I want this food to help, grow my muscles, whatever it is that you're intending with this food. And I'm not against some chocolate ice cream every once in a while, but then intend pleasure, intend bliss. What is the intention that you're setting before you're doing it or before you're eating this or before you're saying that? What is your intention with it? Before you go into a meeting, I count myself very lucky that I don't have to go to any meetings because I hear it from so many of my corporate clients. They're just, they always complain about, oh my gosh, meetings are so pointless. They're such a waste of time. Personally, I know nothing about them, so I don't know why they still go for it. I'm like, somebody is setting them up, so it has to be for something. But even if you go into something, if you go into something thinking, oh, this is going to be a waste of my time, guess what? That is what your brain is focused on. So you're going to pick out all the little stupid things where you're like, see, I told you this was a waste of time. So how about instead you go in with it with kind of an attitude of, how can I contribute? What can I contribute to this meeting? How can we make this of some use? How can this meeting benefit me? How can this meeting benefit the group and the company? How about your personal conversations? If you have a conversation with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, with your kids, what is the goal? What is the outcome that you're shooting for? Because with us setting an intention, we're really honing in our focus. And the more focused you are, the more powerful your energy is. Think about a laser beam, it's very concentrated. That's what we're doing with focus. And in order to focus, we need an intent. So what is the goal? What is the outcome of this conversation you're wanting to have? And be honest with yourself, because if your intent isn't pure, they will feel it. Your spouse will feel it. Your kids will feel it. Take the time to explain to your kids what it is that you're wanting to get, what it is that you're wanting to explain to them, why it is that you're wanting them to do a certain thing. And with your spouse, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, even say that intention out loud. If you're going into a meeting or you're meeting with a new client, you don't want to really walk in and say, oh, yes, my intention for this is, although in a meeting it might actually be very beneficial. But especially with a personal conversation with your significant other, just imagine if you can start the conversation with, hey, this is really the outcome that I'm wanting from this conversation. This is where I'm getting at. Just imagine. I mean, men I know love to problem solve and find a solution. So, by you really clearly stating what you want, you bring him clarity and ease of mind. And you can just simply say, tonight I just want to vent, or I just need you to listen. That can totally be the outcome that you're needing at that time. But that way, he's not trying to wreck his brain saying, oh my gosh, I need to find a solution to this. And then the woman goes, I didn't want a solution. I just wanted you to understand what I'm going through. So, really clearly ask yourself, and it really helps you to get very clear when you think about what is the outcome that I'm wanting with this action that I'm taking or with this conversation that I'm having. What is your intention with your workout, with going to the movies with a friend, going on a hike, going on a vacation? Just imagine, I mean, you book a very different vacation if you go to Vegas versus if you go to Africa. What is it that you're wanting? Are you wanting some relaxed time at the beach? Or are you wanting a fun time? What is it that you're shooting for? Imagine if everyone in the family, sets a particular intention and then states that intention. Then you're much better able to kind of see, okay, where can we go? That kind of helps everybody to have the vacation that they're wanting. Think about meeting with a potential client, if it's a business relationship. How can this be beneficial for both of us? How can this be a win-win situation? What is my intent speaking with this person? Even if it's a short segment, you feel like, oh, I don't really have the time, or why do I need to have any kind of intention for this? But even if it's a short segment, like say it's just a 5-minute segment of like a brief meditation or just breathing, you can still say a couple of words, refresh and renew. I just want to refresh and renew my body right now. And then you start and go into your meditation. The more often you do this, the faster it will be. It'll become second nature. You'll do it without even thinking about it. Some things really become habitual. Like, for example, when I get in the car, I always say safely and swiftly. I've done it so many times, it's just automatic. Other times, especially when there are news segments in my day, sometimes I forget. And it's always the thing, right? If you're getting deeper into spirituality, it's always a matter of forgetting and remembering. So just right now, this is your reminder. Let's get back into the habit of setting an intention, stating an intention, really being clear before everything you're doing. What is the outcome that I'm wanting? And this also works with challenges in your life. For example, if you're, needing to attend a funeral, it's not like you're intention is going to be like, oh, I want to be happy and uplifted. Probably not the right intention. Think about, I really want to honor this person's life, or I want to be a pillar of strength for my friend. If it's some kind of event that you don't want to go to, think about two things I would think about. The number one thing would be, how can there be any benefit to me in this? And hopefully you'll find a benefit, because otherwise it's really a matter of, why am I even doing this thing? That's the other thing that's really helping you with setting an intention. It gets you clear about, why am I doing this? And if you keep saying yes to things that you then are in the middle of and not enjoying, and you're like, how do I always get myself into this? Well, next time before you say yes to something, say, oh, what would be my intention with going to this place? What is it that it would give me? What would it feed me? And then the number two would be, how can I be of service to someone else in this? And the two kind of go hand in hand, because we do want to be of service to others. But before we can really be of service to others, we have to be of service to ourselves, because we really have to be filled up, in tune, tuned into our higher being before we can really be of service. So, what is your current challenge? What can you intend about this challenge? How do you want it to go? How is it going to go? If it's a big challenge, you can break it up into segments, into days, into weeks, into portions. My big challenge that I'm going to face in 48 days will be, being in labor, giving birth to my son. And I am definitely breaking it up into the weeks leading up to labor. How do I want to experience these weeks? I'm really wanting to be more timeless, more not having so much to worry about, just really enjoying the last few weeks of feeling this beautiful being inside me. It's been a trip, and it's been just wonderful to have that kind of closeness. Then I also have the segment of actually being in labor. I might even take it an hour at a time, or half an hour at a time. What am I intending for this next half an hour of being in labor? And, I'm wanting to stay focused on the positive. I want to be calm and yet strong. I want to remember that I am guided and that I'm not alone in this. And more than anything, I really want to remember to be of service, and that I'm really helping and assisting my son to make his journey into this world. That's what my intention is, to just remember that this is really a beautiful journey. So, setting an intention gives you peace of mind, it gives you clarity, it gives you focus, it gives you momentum. Momentum will really start building once you hone in what you want and you keep going. You can't control the outcome. I know some people are like, oh, I'm not going to set an intention, I'm just going to be disappointed. So remember, you can't control the outcome, but you can always control your emotion around the outcome, and you can always control what it means to you. Remember the day that we talked about the meaning that you give something is the way that you will experience it. But setting an intention really helps you to get clear, to know yourself better, to help the people around you who are close to you to understand you better. If you always strive to like the best of everything, there is one thing that is absolutely guaranteed, and that is that you will feel better. Your intent and focus is on happiness. That means there has to be more happiness in your life. Remember, true happiness, joy, bliss comes from the inside out. It doesn't come from things happening in your life and you draw happiness from them. Sometimes it happens that way and it's glorious. But more than not, it really is about finding that joy, that deep passion, that bliss, that happiness on the inside, and just radiating it out with every moment of your beingness. So that's all I got for you today. I draw so much strength and power from setting intentions. So hopefully it'll work for you too. Leave me some comments below. I always love to hear what your thoughts are, and I'll check with you tomorrow on ETA 56 days.